You may have grown up being told that your network is your net worth, but I'm here to tell you that saying is bullshit and give you 2 insights that will serve you much better than that saying ever will. The people you know can truly make a huge difference in your life, with the potential to open doors, give you insights and new perspectives in many different ways. But unless you're in a position to make the most of that, there's nothing that anyone can really do for you. I've been truly blessed to be around killers for as long as I can remember. Most of that was entirely down to luck and the situations that I found myself in. But there were lots of other people on the same boat who never quite managed to make the same connections I was able to. I had the privilege to learn from every single one of these people, and I'll always be grateful for it. And I can truly say that I wouldn't be the person I am today, nor think the way I do, if I hadn't had these people in my life. However, to think that knowing people of value will inevitably bring you value is not just the wrong approach to take, but also just plainly incorrect. And here's why. Sayings like your network is your net worth have been around for generations. And naturally, these will stick around because they all contain some truth to them. Knowing certain people and having certain conversations may provide you opportunities, open doors for you, or give you insights that you wouldn't have considered. And that is not something to be neglected. The thing is, just knowing these people, being someone that they see around, or maybe someone that they have good times with, has absolutely no correlation with the net worth you actually have. I'll take you through the 3 main things you need to focus on to become someone that can have a network of value, and also to become the type of person that can actually make the most of knowing these people. You can't help someone who doesn't want to help themselves, and equally, you can't be helped unless you help yourself first. Which brings me on to my first point. You need to put the effort in. Now more than ever, it's important to recognize that very few people are born inherently being valuable and inherently having things that they can leverage. And everything you want to achieve is on the other side of hard work. If you know valuable people, but you have no value to offer yourself, you make it very hard for them to actually open doors for you. A lot of the times, if these people actually like you, they'd be more than happy to open doors for you. But here's the fundamental truth, and definitely the biggest takeaway that you can take from this section. No one can help you if you don't help yourself. God knows that I know this from first-hand experience, having wasted so much time and not taking myself seriously for so long during my university days. I was sitting with no momentum, and even if some of the people I knew would have been willing and able to open doors to help me, there was nothing they could do for me. The first step, and at least personally the most important one for me at the time, was to actually start to put the effort in. Energy and movement can always be harnessed and set in the right direction. But if you're standing still, it's always going to be tough to get started. People value genuine effort more than you can ever imagine. Seeing someone try, fail, get up and try again in different ways is admirable. And if you can't even do that, don't bother looking for support from other people. Just look at yourself first. You need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and acknowledge that you've actually been working hard, not just for a day or for a week, but consistently over a prolonged period of time. It's also important to recognize that effort requires sacrifices. It will take time. It will get boring. It will mean saying no to people. It will mean going out of your comfort zone. It will mean that you won't be able to do some of the things that you'd actually really like to do. Change is on the other side of discomfort, and it could mean that you have to get familiar with that feeling to really see it work for you. Once you're putting in the effort and you're actually chipping away at your goals, to make the most of your network, the next key thing comes into the equation. You need to be someone that can actually offer value. The thing is, every average guy and their dog these days will consider themselves a high-value man because they've seen people on the internet tell them that that's what they should aspire to be. And it's gotten to the point where that term doesn't actually mean anything concrete to most people anymore. Actually being valuable by having skills and social capital you can deploy means that you can not only make the most out of your network, but you can also have more leverage and will be more likely to meet other high-value people yourself. Value and skills can look like literally anything. They can be the things you can do, the problems you can solve, the knowledge you have, how you are around people, the things you can build, how you communicate, the energy you give off to people, the events you host, or even the places you may have access to. Better yet, You only have to be slightly better at or know slightly more than someone to actually be able to offer them value. To be able to learn skills and build up your value, you really need to be able to zone in and focus on what you're trying to do. Pick a lane that seems aligned with you and go for it. Don't get caught up by shiny object syndrome and change what you're doing every week, but actually pick something that you want to get good at, remove the distractions, and put in the effort we mentioned in the first point to start making strides in that field. This is an important step to recognize because you have to be aware that as humans, we like to be around people who are either complementary or think in a similar way to us. That's why killers want to be around killers, and those tend to be the people that people want to network with. So, in order to get in those kinds of circles, you have to be able to become one yourself in whatever field that you choose to go into. It often doesn't particularly matter if you're even useful to these people per se, but it's rare to find someone who would be the type of person that you want to network with, who wouldn't want to be around other people who share the values and principles that got them to where they are, or are at least interested in meeting people that they can learn from in different ways. Especially while you're building yourself up, or maybe even before you started, you may think that it's a good idea to go around meeting a bunch of people to see if they'd be able to help you along the way. Although I'm a big believer in approaching every single conversation you have as if the other person has something to teach you, and I would hate to discourage you to actually stop speaking to other people, the only thing I'll say is be wary of the opportunity cost of going around to everyone and be more selective with how you're spending your time. If you're a newbie and you're just starting out at something, or you haven't even put some reps in, and you're going around to meet people to look for inspiration and see if you can learn from people, and you decide to approach someone who's miles ahead of you in whatever given field, you have to keep in mind that there's going to be a clear difference between where you are now and the place that they've gotten themselves to. And there's a big gap in between the work that they've put in and what you've done so far. If you're down here and they're up there in whatever metric that is, in the end of the day, of course you want to pick their brain and learn a lot from them. But unless they already know you and they have some reason to like you, why would they give up their time to speak to you in particular when a bunch of people probably ask them for the same thing, when in all likelihood they've probably already productized their knowledge for something that you can go and pay for online? That's where you might be able to offer value in different ways, maybe less so through a knowledge exchange, but more in other areas of life. The biggest thing there, more than anything, is not to come from a position of being below them or putting them in a pedestal above you in any way. Just don't forget that if you're treating them like a celebrity, you're almost forcing them to treat you like a fan. And in the end of the day, that's not the approach that you want to be having in these types of interactions. That's why I'm saying you need to start with yourself. Really make your own moves to grow and approach these types of interactions as a better version of yourself. For you, that could mean investing in a mentor or digging into books. But most likely, you just need to be trying things relentlessly and leveling up while you do so. Instead of trying to network with the big dogs from the off, you may have taken the approach of networking with absolutely everyone you meet. As I said earlier, I'm a big believer in approaching everyone you meet as if they have something to teach you. And again, I don't want to discourage you from actually going out there and speaking to anyone, because I also think that's a very important life skill to cultivate. But if you're going around and speaking to people as someone who has no momentum, hasn't tried anything, and hasn't really taken any steps to improve themselves, and you're going around speaking to people who are on the same boat, there's not much that either of you are really going to gain from that. Instead of going out there and networking with absolutely everyone that you meet, pick and choose where you spend your time and make sure that if you're going out there to network, you do it in the right spaces with the right types of people. There are all kinds of groups and communities out there that you can choose to join based on all kinds of different interests, achievements, or ambitions that you may have. I recommend that once and only once you've gotten to the point that you're someone who can offer value and someone that would be interesting for people to be around, you start seeking out these types of groups for you to join. Join them, invest in them, and find the type of groups and communities that you can go to actually be able to show up in person. I won't lie, I've made countless friendships that I could see lasting a lifetime over Zoom over the last few years. But at the same time, there's nothing quite like physically being in the same space as someone else to be able to feel their energy and exchange ideas in a way that will make it more memorable and more likely to actually be able to build relationships. The points I've been making in this video have all been intentionally sequential. First, you start out by making sure that you're actually putting the work in, putting in effort and being honest with yourself as to whether this is actually the case for you. Then, focus on building yourself up to a point where you are a person with a skill set and a person that can actually offer something to people and the market, regardless of what that looks like for you. Only then should you really be intentional about going out there and looking for people that you can network with. And there are all kinds of groups and communities that you can join that can help you do just that. Up to this point though, everything we've been focusing on has been internal to the individual and things that you can do for yourself to actually be able to go out there and meet, connect, and establish relationships with the type of people that you actually want to be around. But I couldn't have a video like this without the most important message being about the type of company you keep. Which brings me on to my final point. You're a sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. This saying may not be as catchy as your network is your net worth, and it may even sound similar to it, but ultimately it holds a lot more truth. You are a direct result of the 5 people that you spend the most time with because as humans, we are all social creatures that evolved from living in tribes. And the people around us and the things we listen to are constantly programming us without us even being aware for most of the time. The truths about the world that you've heard from your parents or teachers, the shit you hear on the news with the purpose of making you fearful and hateful. The limiting beliefs you hold without even realizing them. The things you believe you know for a fact that you've never even thought to reconsider. These are all the result of the programming you've had from the people around you. To illustrate that point, there's another famous saying that goes, "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future," which is essentially saying the same thing. The people you have around you are the people who are going to mold you. Notice how here, we're not actually speaking about the people you know, but rather the people who you're exchanging ideas with, debating, learning from, and seeing on a frequent basis. Aside from your network not being able to help you if you don't put the effort in or if you have no value to offer yourself, keep in mind that just because you know people doesn't mean that they're the people that you spend the most time with day to day. Don't think about the people you know, but think about the people you see more regularly. Who are they and where are they going? Do you all share similar principles, values, morals, and work ethics with the type of person that you want to be? Do you guys have an energizing relationship that uplifts you, or do you leave most interactions feeling drained? If you're still at a stage where you're early on and working on yourself to level up and get up there bit by bit, but you still surround yourself with the type of people that you were around when you were taking life less seriously and not really doing anything with your time, just know that isn't the best environment to get you where you want to go. In this day and age, the extra factor that isn't thrown in nearly enough is the type of content that people actually consume. If you're constantly exposing yourself to the mainstream media, blasting you with negativity, bad news, disasters, and pessimism, how do you expect to be someone that's pleasant to be around with a positive outlook on the world? If you're numbing yourself all day long with 10-second hits of dopamine on TikTok to watch the next funny video to make you chuckle, how do you expect yourself to focus on anything worthwhile? On the other hand though, we also live in a day and age where information and knowledge are more widely accessible than ever before. You have people who are the type of people you want to learn from and connect with, putting out content for free that you can consume and apply the wisdom for yourself. If you don't have access to the type of people that you want to be hanging around, the best, most brutal advice that I could give you in the short run is to just step away. If the 5 people you spend the most time with are online creators who are putting out value for free for you to learn from, you'll benefit from spending time with them infinitely more than friends that don't align with where you want to be. It's also important to note that the main message here is very much not to cut out all your friends who are already multimillionaires or who at least have the ambition to get there. That's not what I'm saying. I've always found it very insightful to spend time with people who work in fields completely different to mine and who might think and see the world in completely different ways, as well as people that I've known for a long time that I have love for and who have always supported me in all the decisions that I've made and in the steps that I've wanted to take along the way. And I know for a fact that I've learned a lot from these people and the way that they approach life in ways that are different to mine. What I will say though is that a shared trait that a lot of these people have is the desire to improve, to work harder, to uphold their values, and to be better versions of who they currently are in whatever field they're in. With those kinds of shared values, it doesn't really matter whether you're someone who's trying to start a business and you're friends out there with people who are artists, DJs, athletes, models, or musicians. Killers like to be around killers, regardless of what they like to direct their energy towards in their day-to-day. Speaking of online creators bringing valuable content, the goal of this channel is to bring you insights and perspectives that I've had the privilege of coming across through life lessons, takes on the world at large, stories about people, and a vision on geopolitics. If you're aligned with that and you've enjoyed this video so far, don't forget to leave us a like, drop a comment below to let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel as we come out with more value every single week. And so, why is your network not your net worth? Because no one owes you anything, and feeling entitled to something because of the people that you know is an objectively terrible way of living your life. Now, having said that, humans are social creatures that have evolved in tribes and communities since the dawn of time. Being a lone wolf who rejects anything outside of yourself is also not the way to go. So how can you strike a balance and actually make the most of the people you know? First, actually put in the effort. Know that nothing great comes easy and that if you're looking to go anywhere at all, it's going to take work. If it were easy, everyone would do it. And truly, no one is going to care if you decide that you don't, aside from the potential version of who you could have become, looking back at the times in your life where you decided to take the easy route instead of actually becoming better. Secondly, become someone of value. Become someone with a skill set. Become someone that can solve problems. Become someone that people can rely on. Become someone that people would be happy to open the doors for because of the capabilities that you have. Ultimately, become the type of person that those people that you want to network with want to meet. Lastly, and the ultimate lesson to tie everything together, be very wary of the company you keep. Vet the inputs going into your brain. You're a direct result of who you're around, the things you consume, and the actions you choose to take based on the beliefs you've formed. Be aware of who's in your life based on circumstances, situations, and past experiences, and really think about how aligned you are and why you actually spend time together. If you want to believe that your network is your net worth, consider the 5 people that you spend the most time with to be the currency that's measured in. Are you sitting on gold? With light, ambition, action, and effort? Or are you sitting on trash? With laziness, mediocrity, procrastination, and mental numbing? How you view it is ultimately up to you, as is the effort that you put into yourself, as well as the people that you surround yourself with. All I'm trying to say is that you're the only one who can make it happen for yourself. No one owes you anything. You just owe it to yourself.